Okay, before we get into the video of build the Fast and Furious Dodge Charger, I have a little bit of a health announcement about my health. I'll tell you, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll let you know more about it, but it's not a good thing. I was in the hospital for about a week, so yeah, I got something I need to let everybody know. But I'll let you know towards the end of the video, so if you want to stick around to the end of the video, I'll let you know what's going on, okay, my health wise. Alright, so for this video we're going to be doing issue 51, 52, 53, and 54 of the Fast and Furious Build to the Legendary Dodge Charger RT. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do any of the sound effects and stuff, but, you know, because the nature of the video, okay? So, yeah, let's get started. Okay, there's issue 51. Can't ever get this thing zoomed the way I want it. Pictures in the magazines. Okay. And it looks like we're going to be working on... Now, I've already looked through the magazine and everything, so... and we're going to be doing the brake pedal, the clutch, and gas pedal in this one. And you know, screws of choice in this issue are going to be the CP screws and AP screws. And in this little part, they want us to pick out they want us to get one of the wires that have a switch on it from the that part of the model. We won't be needing this part of the model except for getting that wire off it, which I've already done beforehand. This is it's a black wire. They call it 47A, and basically it's what controls the brake lights. So in order to find out which one is your brake light, it's either, if it's not the same color as mine is, just put batteries in your model, and you push one of your switches until your brake lights come on. Do like that, and you know, like you're hitting the brake, and that makes them illuminate. So that's how I knew to make sure it was the right one. So this is the wire that we need. That's 47A. We're going to be attaching it to the back part of the not sure exactly where we're attaching that to, but it's part of the firewall, I think. And that's pretty much it on that part of the kit. On this kit, very short, so hopefully it won't take too long to put it on. Now we got some more stuff for extreme cleaning. Okay. Okay, so we went from some of the earlier magazines, we went from being able to having stuff that has to do with the movies. Now they're showing you how to care for your car. Like now we're polishing and stuff like that now. Okay. Okay, here's the kit, so you know what it looks like. Alright, we'll get to it. Okay, on this little part, they want us to take the switch, and they want us to kind of hold it in here like that. And then we're supposed to attach this holder, or this hold down in here. And then we hold it together with 2 AP screws. So it's going to be a little difficult to get this on there. Basically your switch needs to go through that middle hole. I may have to do this off camera because it looks like it's one of those little finicky things that may be a little difficult to do. Yep. I will do this off camera, and when I get ready to tighten up the screws, I'll resume. Okay, let's just say that this was a little bit of a pain in the rear, okay? Those little terminals that come off the switch are kind of going straight across like this, and they're kind of going over the hole where this screw is supposed to go. So I had to kind of bend them down a little bit where they're supposed to come out right there. It doesn't seem to want to do that, so this is bowing a little bit, but as long as the switch is straight, that's all that matters. As long as it's holding it down, looks like it's doing okay. But it's straight, or it should be. So there's that. Alright, next step. Okay. They want us to take this little bitty spring. As you can see, it's real tiny. They want us to take that little spring, which they call 51D. They want us to insert it into this little spot here. Get this thing to zoom in on it. I don't know if it's going to do it or not. Okay, there's a little hole right here for the spring to go into. This thing being so tiny. Okay, looks like it's in. Alright, and they want us to take the brake pedal, which is this. So you have 3 pedals. This is the clutch, and it's just a little bit smaller than the brake pedal. And this one is the accelerator, which is a little bit longer. Alright, so this is the brake pedal, and there's a little peg on the bottom end of that right there. A little peg right there. They want you to put that in where that spring is. So I'm going to do this without making the spring bounce out. Okay. Now you'll notice there's 2 little grooves also. There's for the brake pedal to sit into. So it's supposed to sit in there like that, which gives it spring, gives a little bit of spring to it, but it won't do what it needs to do until you get the other part on top of here. Alright, the next step is to put the clutch in, and it has a little pin on it too. Just you need a little peg on it right there. Alright, that goes in to this little groove right here. There's a pinhole there. I don't know if you can, I can't get this thing to zoom in like I want it to, but there's a little pinhole right here for that to go into. Okay. And then the gas pedal, or should I say accelerator, and it also has a small pin on it too. And it goes in that little hole right there on the right side. Okay. Now, next step. Okay, on this step, I want us to take this from one of the previous steps. It's a pedal cover, is what they're calling it. It's the one where you attach the switch to it. And they want us to attach it to the top of this, securing it with 2, or should I say 4 CP screws. And if I can do this without messing anything up. Okay. Oh, this is going to be the tricky part. I'm going to have to flip this thing over. And hopefully I don't drop anything or... Okay, I got 3 of the screws in so far. Now I'm doing the 4th screw. It's just a little bit nerve-wracking trying to get that started. As soon as you let go of that little bitty spring wants to let loose. You don't want it doing that. Alright. Now, as you know, the clutch pedal doesn't do anything. Neither does the gas pedal, but the brake pedal does. It's got that little spring in it, and you're pushing on that switch. It should be pushing on the switch on the back side when you hit that button. As you can see, it's hitting it just fine. So that's working like it's supposed to. And that finishes kit number 51. Alright. Now we'll go on to the next. Alright, in this section of the video, we're doing issue number 52. I'll go through the magazine a little bit before we start on it, like I do all the others. Some more stuff on the movie, or whichever movie that is. Some of the characters. That kind of thing. Ain't very much in this kit except for what looks like what they call the rear bulkhead, the front left and front right side panels, and then there's CP screws and HP screws. You have to put in the front panel here and here, and then we get to put in the rear bulkhead, and it looks like that's it to the kit. Now, we don't get to attach it to the body of the car just yet. So, and then when it's done, it's going to look like that. And then you have some more tidbits on something. Oh, washing your car. Okay. Car care, apparently. Detailer is what they do on how to clean your car, kind of thing. Stuff that you can do yourself. If you like doing that kind of thing. It is a job to clean your car. But anyway, there's that. And here's kit 52, and there's the parts in the kit. Alright, I'll get to it. Okay, on this, take the left hand panel. You'll notice on this one it's got marked with an L. And then this other one is also got marked too, but it's marked with an R. Okay, this one is going to go on the right side, and this one's going to go on the left side. Alright, so the left side first, and they want us to hold them together with 2 CP screws. So I turn it on its side. Now, if you're hearing something weird like my stomach and everything, that's one of the issues I was talking about at the beginning of the video that I'm having. It doesn't mean I'm hungry, but I got a weird noise coming from my gut. I will explain that later on in the video, okay? Alright, so on this side we do the exact same thing that we did on the driver's side. There's that. That's in now. Make sure these are tight. Okay, does it for that. Next step. Alright. Now, this rear bulkhead, it's going to take 6 screws. I'm going to have to do these 2 front ones right here first. And you put it on like this. You put this one in, and then that one, and then you get to put 4 more in those little spots there. Alright. I will get this started, and then I'll come back when I get close to having all the screws in. Okay, there's those 2. Alright, now we finish it off by putting in the remainder 4. Alright, this last screw. Make sure they're all tight. There we go. And that finishes off kit number 52. And this is what it should look like when it's finished. Alright. Now we'll go on to the next kit. Alright, now this is issue number 53. I'll go through the magazine real quick. Some more stuff on the movie. Characters from each movie kind of thing. And in this one, where it looks like we're just going to be doing an assembly of one of the seats. I'm not sure which side. Doesn't really say. It could be the driver's side, maybe. Okay, it looks like we've got a seat belt. Yeah, seat belt, IP screws, and then we got the front and back of the seat. And that's pretty much it. Okay, well, looks like a quick issue. Okay, looks like okay, more car care stuff. Has nothing to do with the movie. Okay, interesting. Guess how to get rid of scratches, that kind of thing like that. Alright. Got kit number 53. That's all that's in the kit. Alright, I'll get to it. Okay. Okay, the seat is made of like a dense rubber. Alright, so according to the instructions, you got one side that looks like a little belt buckle. And you can see it's got like a little hook looking thing on it. And then on the other end, it's like a loop buckle looking thing. Okay. Now when you threading this through, make sure that the hook part is actually pointing towards the seat. Kind of like that. You don't want it to be the other way. So the simplest way to do it, if you see on the back of the belt, you see where they kind of sealed it together. On the other side, it doesn't show that. Okay, this part you want it kind of coming away from the seat, and the part that you don't want to see, you have it facing towards the seat. If that makes any sense. Okay, there's a slit right here, and you want us to kind of weave this through like that. It comes out the back of the seat, and then he wants to push it through on the other hole. Good thing it's made out of rubber, huh? And just push it through the hole like so. And then it should come out the other side like this. Okay, so basically on this part, okay, you want to make sure the seat belt's on the bottom like this when you get ready to put this next part in. So The way they want it, according to the picture, you have to slide this plastic part underneath these two tabs. So you just kind of slide it under like this, and they want that tab or that peg and that peg to be under these two holes, like so, sort of like that. Alright, now we want us to secure back of the seat to the part that we just to the seat, and we want to secure it with 2 IP screws. Okay. Alright, you just snug these up as snug as you can get it. Don't over tight, because it will tear up the plastic, and it will tear up the rubber too. You don't want it to do either one, so just make sure it snugs and then stop. Okay, just like that. And when you're done, you have a seat, something like that. Pretty much you can lay this part down in there like that, however you want to lay it in there. It'll eventually lay down. It's just, like I said, it's fabric. Doesn't want to. The seat belt is made of some kind of fabric, so I'm not sure. Well, there's that. I'm not sure how to make that lay down. I'm sure I can make it somehow. But anyway, there's that. Okay, that finishes that kit. 53. Now we're on to the next kit. Alright, and issue number 54. Okay, we'll go to the magazine again like we did the others. There's some more stuff on the movies. No, very much stuff on the movies, but almost like a car advertisement kind of thing. There's some more for the seat. Assembly of the seat. Doesn't really say if it's driver's side or passenger side yet, so it looks like we got IP screws and AP screws and JP screws in this. Okay, looks like we get to finish the seat that we did in the last kit. Okay, and then we get to finally attach the seat to the car. Looks like it's the driver's side. Okay. And here we go with the car care again. Polish and protect your bodywork. Okay. So we went from showing movie details to how to detail your car. Okay, if your paint ain't perfect. Okay. And then here's the kit. Ain't much to it. So we'll get started. Alright. Now they want us to take the seat assembly that we just did, and then we get to attach the backing of it. Okay, I want us to line it up. There's a little tab that sticks out right here. It goes underneath the lip of the seat right there. Just gonna push it in. And then these 4 nubs that are sticking up right here, or tabs, go into these 4 recessed holes. Okay. And just push it in like that. and it's held together with 4 AP screws. And just in case you're curious about my health concern or health problem that I was talking about at the beginning of the video, I have, without really knowing what the test results say on the test, I could either have a tumor or I may have cancer. Nobody knows yet. So, yeah, it kind of scares me. But again, I'll explain it at the end of the video if you stick around and watch it. If you're sticking around long enough to see this part. Okay. Alright. This next part of this, he wants to take this part of the seat. Looks like a little pan looking thing. This part, not this part. Not that yet, but this part here. And we want it similar to the way I did the other part of the back of the seat, where you have to slide it under these tabs. So you have to kind of go in and under and get those little nubs underneath the little rubber tabs on this while you're pushing, like so. Just go in there like that. Alright, now we need, alright, so we get to take 2 IP screws, and again, if you need to move the little rubber tab around, you can. Just get it lined up. Screw it in until it gets snug. Don't try to go past that or it will strip itself out. Okay. Same thing here. Get snug, you don't want to go too far with it, as it will break the plastic or it will mess up the rubber really bad, and you don't want it to do on either one. So on the next part, we need to put 2 AP screws. And he wants to put them in the 2 holes right here and here. Get that started before I try to tighten it up all the way. Just kind of holds everything together, sort of. That felt like it stripped out. Not that one, but this one did. I believe it just stripped out. Yep. Now, sometimes that happens. Now it is holding, so I ain't gonna worry about it. But it did strip out a little bit. It's just turning. When I try to tighten it up, it just turns. So, but sometimes that happens, even though you're not trying to tighten it up very tight, it will strip out sometimes. Now you can fix this by putting a little bit of glue in the hole, or you can put a piece of toothpick in the hole and then a little glue with it and then tighten it down, and it should help it, or use a bigger screw, and that sometimes works too, but in this case I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, on the next little section we get to take the bottom of the seat, which is the part you actually get to see. And it's got a little lip here, which goes under that lip of the seat, and it goes just like this. And you're going to line up these 4 holes with these 4 pegs. All right, The little lip goes under the seat, like so. Okay, and then you just kind of push it in. Not sure how hard to push this, but it's got to go in. And on that part, and you just basically line it up with the holes, which they are lined up, as I can see them in the hole. Alright, and we need 4 AP screws. Alright, I just put all 4 screws in. I'm just going to start it with all 4 screws, and then I'll tighten them all up together. Alright, now I'm tightening up all 4 screws now. There we go. Okay, that part's done. Now they want us to attach this using 2 JP screws. They want us to attach it to the car, so I have to kind of lay it on its side or upside down so I can see. But basically, yeah, those 2, see them anywhere they're moving. Okay, we get to put 2 JP screws in. Now on these screws you don't really want to tighten them really tight, because there's a reason for that. You snug them, and I'll show you what that reason is in just a moment. The reason is because you can adjust the seat forward and backward, so it is adjustable. So that's why you don't want to over tighten the screws on the bottom, because it'll make it difficult to adjust that seat. But yeah, that's what those are for. But anyway, that completes this kit. Number 54 is now done. Alright, so that completes issue 51, 52, 53, 54. I built the legendary Dodge Charger RT, and yeah, it was fun. There were some little small challenging parts, but there wasn't very much to it. Now what I'm about to say, okay, we'll get into the people that everybody that I said at the very beginning of the video that I had something I need to say about a health problem that I've got. If you stuck around for that, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. I'm going to try to make it as short as I can, as simple as I can, without trying to make this video too long. Okay. My health problem that I'm having. I was in the hospital about a week ago, and the reason why is because I was having nausea. And there's a reason why I was being nauseated, but I didn't know what it was. I've been nauseated for about a month, a little over a month, and I used the Teladoc app. You know, if you've never heard of it, it's an app where you get to talk to a random doctor somewhere in the United States, and they can prescribe you medicine, you know, for simple things and all that. And I thought, well, it's something, why am I nauseated? You know, so I got to talk to a real doctor somewhere, face to face on my phone, and I told him I was feeling nauseated. And they told me they can give me something for nausea, but they told me I need to go to urgent care to have it looked at to see what's going on. Why am I being nauseated? The issue is that every time I bent over, every time I would walk about 20 feet, every time I would lean down to tie my boots or put on my socks, or sometimes when I'm getting dressed, anything like that, it would cause me to gag. I start dry heaving, and I didn't know what the reason was. And I'm pretty concerned about it, you know. Anyway, on a weekend when I had time to go, I went to the urgent care, and I was there for 3 hours. I had to wait, for an hour or two before they actually got to me. And they drew some blood, and they told me to come back. They did a rapid test on my blood to get the results back really fast. So I went to their lab, and they got it done in a few minutes. Wasn't nothing big or major. And they told me to wait back in the waiting room again to get to talk to the doctor at urgent care, and she'll tell me what's going on. Alright. She gets back to the blood test, and she seems a little worried, by looking at those test results. She said that my hemoglobin was low compared to a blood test that I had 3 months earlier, which was back in May. She said my blood test that was recent of that day was about 6 points lower than what it was back in May. And she said that would basically mean that I'm bleeding internally somewhere, but she didn't know where. And then she said the other problem is that my kidneys are showing that they're not filtering the way they're supposed to. There's something going on with my kidneys. That's all she could tell me, because it's urgent care. It's a walk-in clinic, and they can only do what they can. Some simple, nothing major, because you have to go to the hospital for anything major. So she told me to go to a hospital, and she asked me which one I wanted to go to, and I said the medical center. And she said, well, I'll call it in and let them know that you're on your way up there. She said, I can't just send you home and wonder, there's something wrong going on in your body. You need to have it looked at by a hospital. And I said, okay, I'll go to the hospital. So I went to the medical center, walked into the ER, told them I have an issue, told them I needed a second opinion on the blood test. They wanted to make sure, the person at the clinic wanted to make sure that, wanted to verify my blood test, make sure it matched up with what they did at the clinic, and see what they thought. Everything matched up. When they did another blood test, of course, my arm, when they did the blood test, it's like they poked me again in the same spot that I got poked at earlier that day at the clinic. So I was already getting bruised from being, well, I wasn't bruised yet, but the next day I was bruised a little bit more from where they poked me in my vein. And then they got me registered into one of the examination rooms, and they did a blood work on me. And for whatever reason, they x-rayed my chest. Now, I'm not sure why they did that. I don't know what the reasoning for that. Now, they kept telling me that they were probably going to have to admit me into the hospital so they can run some more tests on me. Because they said that, according to the blood work, they said it looked like you were bleeding internally somewhere. And that's what they said at urgent care, the same thing. Said, we may have to admit you. And I said, I can't miss work the next day. If I miss work, I can get in trouble. I have to get FMLA started so I can actually take off. If you don't know what FMLA is, it just basically means it's family medical leave. So you can actually get off work without getting in trouble. It's basically, it protects your job, so you still have a job to go back to after you get done doing whatever you got to do. Well, I need to get that going, and I told them, I said, I can't miss work. So they didn't give me anything for pain. I was hurting on my side. My back was hurting. I thought maybe I strained my back or something, and I didn't feel good, and I was still nauseated. They didn't give me anything for nausea either. So they told me that I would have to, to keep the nausea away, you would still have to keep taking these pills that I got from the other doctor. And yeah, I would have to do that. And they said, now if you start throwing up or if you feel different, your symptoms get worse, they said come back to the ER. They asked me if I wanted to leave. I said yes, against doctor's advice. They said, well, you can leave, but we recommend that you stay but we can't keep you here, so if you want to leave, you can, or we can admit you into the hospital. I said, I have to work tomorrow. I can't miss work. If I do, I'm going to get in trouble. If I didn't have any personal time to use, where I could take off, and I couldn't use any vacation time because they're all tied up in November and December. So I had no way of taking off without getting in trouble. You get 3 write-ups where I work at, and they will fire you. You lose your job. I didn't want to get fired. So, anyway, I worked that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday, I couldn't get in touch with the HR department, one of the personnel that does handle FMLA. I couldn't get in touch with the first 2 days I went back to work. Monday and Tuesday, I couldn't get in touch with the HR so I could get FMLA started. I couldn't get the information, because she was busy or in a meeting. Well, Wednesday morning, or Wednesday afternoon when I came in, I finally called her at the right moment, and she was getting ready to have somebody and start talking to somebody in the office, and I said, I had to tap on glass. She said, what do you need? I said, I need to get FMLA started. I said, I have to go back to the hospital. She grabbed a piece of paper and her business card that had her phone number on it, so I could call her directly and her email address. And she said, you call the company, because it's called the Hartford, and they deal with our FMLA. A very good company, and you can also go online on our website, and it will allow you to, start a claim so you can get FMLA rolling. Alright. So I went ahead and worked Wednesday. I didn't go home early because, again, I don't have any way to take off without getting in trouble. So I couldn't leave at 6:30. I couldn't leave in the afternoon, before it was time to leave. As soon as I got home, I got on the website. I tried to open up a claim, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing on the website. It was not very user-friendly. I was trying to navigate through all the options and stuff, and I got more confused the more I looked at it. The more I looked at the website, the more confused I got. So the next morning, I got up early, and I called the number, and you got a bunch of menus you have to go through, and finally you get to talk to a representative. It took them about 15 minutes to get to a representative. So I got on there, and finally got to say something to one of the representatives on there, and told them my situation. Told them I need to do a claim, that I need FMLA started and probably temporary disability. I said I need to go back to the hospital, and I told them the same thing. I told them, the situation, that I needed to go back to the hospital, that I was going to go and they were going to admit me, but I couldn't because I didn't have FMLA. A couple days earlier. So I went back. So I was actually able to start my claim on that Thursday. It was the 13th. Today is, well, the filming of this video, it is the 25th at 2:25 in the morning. And it was the week before last, it was the 13th that I went in. First I went ahead and almost 2 weeks ago. I called the company, the Hartford. I went ahead and I told them everything I needed to tell them. They told me they had some questions for me to answer. It's like something they need to take answers to these questions and stuff before they start my claim. To take time off from work. And towards the end of all these questions, and they asked me what are you going to do after you get done, when we get your, after this questionnaire, after we get through asking you all these questions and get your claim started. I said, I'm probably going to go back to the hospital. I said, they didn't get to finish the test and stuff when I was there on that Sunday, which was the 9th when I went in. And I told them, I said, I need to go back to the hospital so they can finish all the testing that they needed to do. I said, there's something ain't right. Something kind of got them rattled, and that they needed to look at, and I didn't give them a chance to, so I went to work instead. And it was probably the wrong thing to do. But I didn't have a choice. It was either lose my job or go back to work and feel like crap. Anyway, So instead of going to work on the 13th, I went ahead after I got the claim going, and I checked my email. After I got through with them, got through talking to the Hartford, and they said, "Well, go ahead and get your claim process. Go ahead and get it started right away, and it should, as soon as it gets approved, you'll be able to, take your time off from work." And after that, and then they told me, said, "We'll send you out an email about, all 9 yards kind of thing." Said, "We'll send you the information in the mail, and we'll also send you emails and everything, verification, all this, all this other stuff." After that, I made sure I made sure all my bills were paid, because I didn't know if I go back to the hospital. I didn't know how long I was going to be in the hospital. But the way they were looking at me last time I was at the hospital, they looked very worried about my blood work, and it's like they wanted me to stay. So that means there was something wrong that they saw in the blood work, and they didn't tell me. That means something was very, very wrong. And it worried me. And it's like, well, we want to make sure that we're up to date on the bills and everything, and then we'll make sure I'm hydrated, make sure I'm not hungry, because I don't know how long I'm going to be in the hospital. So I ate what I could. I couldn't eat very much because I felt full. And I made sure I drank plenty of water, made sure I was hydrated. And then somewhere around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I went to the medical center, went in the ER, and it was packed. It was full. There was not a seat at all. There was even people standing just like I was, and there was people outside standing around too, because there was no room inside the waiting room. It was just full. Anyway, an hour went by. They finally called me up to take blood work. So they had to poke me in my vein again. Then they took my temperature, asked me questions, things like that, and then I went back to, there wasn't any seats to sit in. And the more people that got called back and everything, at least they freed open a few seats, and I was able to sit down. My back was killing me after standing on my feet for 2 hours. My back was hurting. Finally got to sit down. They finally got me in about 4 hours after, almost 4 hours in the waiting room. They finally got me an examination room to go into, so they could actually examine me to figure out what the heck was going on with my body. And I told them, one of them recognized me because I said, "Oh, you were here, 3 days ago." And I said, "About 4 days ago, wasn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I had to make sure I got FMLA started, so I gave y'all enough time to do these tests that y'all need to do to figure out what's wrong with me." And they said, "You came in here for being nauseated, blah, blah, blah," all this stuff. Anyway, you probably want me to get to the point, right? Instead of telling every little detail about the process of going through the ER or that kind of crap, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get to the point, because if I don't, it's going to keep dragging on as a very long story, right? Alright, so after getting through with the ER, it was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. They finally, they admitted me into the hospital. They took me up to my room, and I got to sit in one of these seats that had wheels on it, and they pushed me up to the 5th floor of the medical center, and finally got me into a room, and they gave me something for nausea, and they also gave me something for pain. Well, they didn't give me something for pain until they wanted to make sure that the doctor would approve it first before they could give me something for pain. That was probably the next morning. It was already 3 a.m. on one morning, so I guess it was like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. They finally told me, they finally let me have something for pain, because my back was hurting and my side was hurting. Alright, so they did a CT scan on me. Basically what it is, they take an image of you from I think it's the lower part of your body, up to about halfway is a CT scan, and then when they do another type of scan, it's the same thing, but then they do it from here down. They did both of those scans. Basically, you're laying flat on your back, and then you got your hands above your head like this, and they're just they're scanning you, and they tell you to lay very still. You know, you can breathe normal and everything, but then they tell you to lay very still so they can take images of you. So after all the testing, basically what they told me that they saw on the test, it wasn't good. They said that they found a mass the size of a cantaloupe on where my left kidney is. They couldn't even see my left kidney. They couldn't tell from the scan if my kidney was part of the mass or if my kidney was inside the mass. They could see the veins going to where it's supposed to go to the kidney, but it kind of goes into this large mass that's the size of a cantaloupe. You know, a cantaloupe's pretty good size. You know, cantaloupes, you know how big a cantaloupe is. Well, that's how big its mass is inside my body. Alright, so it's going over, it's enveloped over my left kidney where you can't see it on the scans. You can't even see the kidney. It's going over towards the right side, and it's going towards the right kidney also. You can see the right kidney, you can't see the left kidney. They also said there's it's also this big mass that's inside my gut. It's also pushing on my stomach, which makes me feel full. You know, that's why I can only eat like 3 or 4 bites of food, and I felt like I ate a large meal instead of eating a small meal. You know, instead of eating, I mean, I can eat something small and I felt like I've ate a large meal, and then I stay full all day. And but they told me that's why I feel full, is because this large mass that I have in my gut is pushing on my stomach. It's also pushing my stomach over to the right side, and that's not good either. And I asked them, well, what about the bleeding? And they asked me, are you peeing blood, or when you defecate, or is there blood in your stool? And I said, no, I don't have blood in either thing. You know, every time I urinate, it looks like almost like clear as water, or like a light yellow, but there's no blood in it. So they didn't know where I was losing hemoglobin. They didn't know where it was going, you know, if it was losing blood at all. So they did blood tests every day, and basically my body is making blood, but somewhere it's disappearing somewhere, and we don't know where it's going. They didn't know, you know, where is this disappearing to? It's not in my colon, and it's not in my urine, so where am I losing blood at? They thought maybe it's because of the mass. It might have something to do with me losing blood. If I am losing blood, it's somewhere in there. Scary, isn't it? So they finally was able to give me something for pain, for my back. It's hard to explain it when what this mass is actually doing. It's making my side hurt because it's pushing and tugging at my kidney, my left kidney, and it makes my side hurt. Now here's the scary part. They did all these tests the whole time I was in there. They also did what they call an autopsy on this mass. It involves I forgot what they call it, but they take like an ultrasound of it, trying to find, you know, what it looks like, and they couldn't find the edges of it because it's so big. And they put one of these little attachments to this little ultrasound thing, and the doctor that does this procedure, you know, he's an alright guy and everything. Now they take this large needle that's probably about 10 inches long, and it's probably about that wide, and they give you a local anesthetic first around the area where they're going to puncture your belly, or where your kidney is. I got to lay on my back, and they didn't put me to sleep or anything. They put this ultrasound on there, and they're looking at and the doctor's looking at the monitor where he wants to jab you at. And he takes this needle, and he starts, kind of goes like this and like that, and he goes and gets it in there, and that freaking hurt. And it went in, and he grabbed a small sample from that, an incision or whatever you can call that, to get down to it. And then I think he got a little bit of material on that, so he put it in this little, what he's collecting the material into. He grabs another needle. It's not as wide, it's a little bit more narrower, a little bit more thinner, but it's still the same length. It's about 10 inches long. And he jabs that in, and he starts going like this and like that, and and you hear that after it goes in, and he's grabbing another sample. He pulls that out, and I could feel something warm coming out of the opening, and he's holding pressure a little bit of, he's putting some gauze on it because it's starting to bleed. And then he grabs another needle, and he gets back in the same spot. He jabs it in just like he did the first two, and he jabs that second, the third one hurt. That's when I started feeling pain. And then he grabs one more. He had to get one more. He said, I'm gonna have to give another sample. So he takes another sample. So he had to jab me a fourth time. Now that one freaking hurt. And when he pulled that out, I started feeling a lot of pain. And I told him, I'm hurting really bad. Real bad. And I was bleeding. I could feel it warmth around the area where he just jabbed me at, and I could feel it running down my side. But he had something covering me up right there, but it was still, I could feel it dripping. And they saw it dripping, so they went ahead and they started holding it together, or holding it with some pressure and everything, and that's when it started hurting really bad. They gave me 4 milligrams of morphine, and about a minute after that, I didn't feel no pain after that. I didn't get loopy either, so, after they gave me that, at least the pain went away, after he did that. And after he got done, he made sure it quit bleeding. He looked it over, and then he put a Band-Aid on it. And it just left 3 or 4 little dots where he jabbed me in my gut. And there's 4 little dots right there where he jabbed me into my gut to get those samples. And then when he showed me, it was like 4 little bitty, looked like pinheads floating around in this solution and he said, all that pain just for that. It's like, yeah, all that pain that you just caused, and it's all for those little bitty pinhead sized material. And he said there's enough material in there that they can tell you what's going on with that mass. And he said out of that material, said they can tell you what it is, and everything they need to know is in that little bit of material. And it's like, well, that's good. So, without knowing, basically, to make a longer story short, we're still waiting on the test results of the biopsy to tell us what the heck this mass is. Because as it is right now, they don't know if it's cancer, and they don't know if it's a tumor. And it's bugging me because I don't know if I have cancer, and I don't know if I have a tumor. Now this other doctor, I can't think of his name right now. I have it on paper somewhere, but this other doctor, he made me more comfortable as far as how he's explaining, what's going on. And he says there's advancements in cancer treatment now that if you do have cancer, if this is cancer, they can treat it and you don't have to have chemo. They said years ago you had to have chemo if you had cancer. And it would make you sick, make you throw up, it would make you nauseated, it would make it where you had to miss more work, and your hair would fall out, things like that. A lot of bad shit happens to you when you're having chemo. And he said, well, the good thing is all you have to do is take pills. They have to figure out what kind of mass it is, and then they can start treating it so they can try to shrink it. He said the mass is so massive that I have in my gut that it's so big they can't even do surgery on it. It's a pretty good sized mass, and they can't do anything with it. So until they know what it is, they can't give me treatment yet. So I'm still, after they discharged me from the hospital last week on the 20th, I got to come home. Or was it night? I think it was the 19th. They let me go home, but it was real late at night. I think it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they let me go home on the 19th. So I was in the hospital between the 13th and the 19th. So I was in there for about 7 days. So they let me come home, and the only thing they gave me, they didn't try to remove it. They didn't try to remove the mass or anything like that. They gave me a prescription for pain medicine because this mass hurts. Every day when I wake up, or sometimes before I go to bed, I have to take a pain pill because it freaking hurts. It pushes on your side so much that it hurts. And it makes your side hurt, it makes your back hurt. I tried standing up for more than 30. My job requires me to be up on my feet 8 to 10 hours a day. I work on an assembly line. As long as I still have this mass, there's no way that I can go back to work and do my job, because I have to stand on my feet all day. I can't even stand up for more than 30 minutes to an hour before I start having extreme pain in my back and my side because of that mass. And since they didn't do anything to me other than just to tell me, well, it could be a mass or it could be a tumor. Well, I don't know, because y'all didn't tell me what the results of the biopsy is yet. So I got a doctor's appointment in 2 days, and maybe I'll know something by then. I don't know if they know what it is yet. So it worries me, but then again, they also reassured me that if it's a tumor, they got medications to treat it. If it turns out to be cancer, they also have medications to treat that too. And more than likely, if it's just around your kidneys, then it shouldn't come back. Or more than likely, it won't come back. But they said there's advancements in cancer treatment, and that kind of reassured me a little bit. But I mean, there are cancer survivors out there that do survive cancer and things like that. So if it is cancer, pray for me that that they can fix me. I'm worried. My mom is worried. Everybody's, they keep asking me, people that on Facebook that I told, my friends and family, they're worried about me and they're praying for me. So hopefully they'll find the answer and they'll give me the right treatment, and I'll be able to maybe one day get back on my feet again. I hope. So anyway, I'm sorry to end the video on a sad note like that, but it is what it is. Alright, so yeah, I'm sorry to have to put all that bad news. Even right now, my back is hurting right now. Probably after I get done with the video, I gotta take a pain pill. I hate taking them because they said you can get addicted to it. It's some sort of it's a narcotic, and I don't want to name it off in this video. I'm not going to say what it is. But it starts with an O. That's all I'm going to say about it. So yeah, if it's so yeah, pray for me. And if you got family members and stuff, that's had cancer or survived cancer and things like that, pray for me, because I don't know what I got. I don't know if I got a tumor or a cancer. It's one or the other, and right now I'm worried because I don't know which one I got. We won't know until they get the results of the biopsy, and this was last week. It's been at least 6 days now since they did the biopsy, maybe about 7 days. They did it last week on Monday. It was on the 17th when they did the biopsy. This is the 25th as the time that I'm recording this. It is October 25th. So the 17th was when they did the biopsy, and we don't even know what the results are yet. They still haven't told me. So maybe my doctor knows when I go see him on the 26th. We only can hope that it ain't cancer, but I mean, cross your fingers and hope it isn't. A tumor might be okay, but then again, it's not good either. Either way is not good. But they said there's advancements in treatment. Hopefully I can get rid of this thing and be back to my normal self. So wish me luck and pray for me, okay? Anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, it will help me out a great deal. And if you want to hit the notification bell, it'll let you know whenever I publish a brand new video. And it will also let YouTube know you like this kind of content, about the model cars and stuff. I'm not talking about the thing in the hospital. I'm talking about the model, okay? So, yeah. And thank you for watching. And if you stuck around to the end, watch this part of the video, I'm grateful for that. I appreciate it. It means a lot. So, it is an emotional thing, so if I look like I'm gonna cry, I probably will. So anyway, yeah, that'll be it for now until the next video. See you when I see you. Bye.